do it every year. It's like, oh, this team got beat here, so they didn't deserve XYZ.
We deserve to be ranked higher, and we want some respect.
I would love to antagonize people and egg some people on and see what kind of chaos we can have in the stands.
FCS Fans Nation, and to the whole nation of college football. Listen, here's the thing. When you set up a playoff bracket with equal representation, some quality auto bids, and 24 teams across, you can have historic upsets, chaos, and a lot of fun. You know, that's just a shout out to you, FBS. Figure it out, you bums. Welcome to the FCS Fans Nation podcast, home of the real playoff and home of Kyler, Matt, and we bow down to one of the GOATs of the FCS. Mr. Zach Mckinnell is so kindly joining us on this Sunday evening after a chaotic second round into the quarters. I know Kyler and I are doing just fine. Zach, how are you this evening, my friend?
Oh man, I'm good. I feel good. I'm gonna try to catch up on some sleep this week, man. We only got a handful of games. We don't have to watch 7 at once this weekend, luckily. But man, I'm good. It was a heck of a weekend for football, man. I'm ready to jump right into it.
It's going to be a lot of fun breaking down exactly what happened this weekend. We appreciate you being on here, man. 1 is gone, number 5 is gone, number 6 is gone, and we've got some things to break down for this weekend. First things first, some housekeeping stuff. The playoff bracket challenge. We'll get some updates on that on Tuesday. I can assure you all perfect brackets are now gone because Mr. Steven Wagner's pick of the Bison went down. And that being said, the gold survivor pool, all 12 people, this is 3 straight weeks in a row, they're all still alive. But I'm starting to see their comments say, I don't have a lot of options left. So it should be fun to see what happens and who comes away with $50 gift cards on both of those competitions. Okay, Kyler, you probably thought you'd never get an opportunity to read a sponsorship based off the team you're probably going to use. So I will give you the floor, sir.
How did you know?
Oh,
man.
No.
It was like the most exciting thing that's happened this week. And I went, I finally get to troll the team that's untrollable. And that's the only thing. I can go to bed. I could die happy now. So let's go ahead and kick it off. Our beautiful sponsors, Renegade Hydrate. Honestly, I hope they like these and aren't pissed at us for doing these, but I guess we'll figure it out later because they're giving us $1,000 an episode, which is just a fantastic sponsorship. But Renegade Hydrate for athletes who refuse to collapse in the moments the lights turn on. Unlike some teams out here taking L's to Illinois State and pretending like it's part of the plan. And look, hydration can't fix everything, but it might have prevented whatever disaster happened with NDSU's Walter Payton hopeful QB, a dude who managed just a total of 9 yards outside of one play. That's right, 9 total yards. That's not a performance issue. That's a missing persons report. You can't win games when your offense goes you harder than a bad Tinder date. You can't lead a program when your stat line looks like a broken calculator. And you definitely can't call yourself a contender when Illinois sends you home questioning life choices. That's why real competitors choose Renegade Hydrate, the fuel that keeps you from fading, folding, or do whatever that happened to the Bison up in Fargo on Saturday. Stay sharp, stay lethal, Renegade Hydrate, because someone's got to show NDSU what real endurance looks like.
Oh man, I give you the claps every week, so I'll own up here on the stage. And I think the folks in the comments, they're not messing around like Jamie's internet, so we're gonna want to get right to it, guys. We got some topics to talk about. Let's kick into it.
What are FCS fans talking and posting about nonstop? It's time for the top 6 topics of the week.
All right, guys, as we kick into it, of course, we're going to recap what happened this weekend. We're going to spend the next 10, 15 minutes on the pod just reacting to some of the games that occurred before we start getting into the games that are coming up. Just a huge disclaimer. It was my military drill this weekend. You guys know there's a lot of times I don't even do the podcast when that happens because my weekend is warped. So when I give very little feedback and discussion, I'm not depressed. It's first off, Zach Mckinnell deserves all my time to talk. Second, I get to address my emotional state in the quick hits. But let's get right to it, and let's get into the second round recap. And you know what? I'll just kick it off with the only thing I really want to say, and then I'll let you gentlemen decide what you want to discuss. I would like my flowers, okay? Because while Jamie and Kyler and Twitter and NDSU media and national media, my dad, my buddy Ross, everybody said, well, the Bison are just going to win. L through, people said. Was there any way they wouldn't win? And one guy stood on top of the mountain and said, the interior offensive line and run game has not been existent all year long. It is a struggle to get 4 yards. The running backs do not make impacts. I can count on a single hand how many times there's been a breakaway 30-yard touchdown run. The protection is a lot of Cole Payton savior moments. Most of the yards per carry come from Cole making legs happen. And everyone's just like, yeah, but it's the Bison. And guess what? An elite, incredible, well-deserved defensive performance for Illinois State said, we're just going to suffocate that, and let's see if their offense can do anything else. And the result is exactly what happened. Unfortunately, an extremely young offensive line dooms NDSU, and credit to those Redbirds. That being said, Zach McKinnell kick us off. Probably the biggest upset in FCS history. Evan's calling me a young buck, I'm sure. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it. Now, listen, I do want to maybe push back a little bit on the, I told you guys we had some weaknesses and it was exposed. I mean, outside of the 5 interceptions, I mean, Illinois State could have won this game by like 40. I mean, really and truly, like you go back and watch, North Dakota State looked helpless at times offensively. And I mean, that's not just like a minor issue where, yeah, my interior offensive line doesn't play well. We have no run game. I mean, Cole Payton looked terrible. They couldn't run the football. Offensive line got whooped. And defensively, outside of some interceptions, they weren't good in terms of just limiting anything. If it weren't for the turnovers, Illinois State could have scored way more points. And I do want to give credit on the other side because this isn't just what did NDSU do wrong. Daniel Sopkowitz is a freak on the outside, man. That kid's going to be playing somewhere in the NFL one day. And that catch he made in the end zone, I think it was the second to last touchdown where he somehow got his foot down. That was an NFL catch, man. You got to give Brock Spack some credit, man. This defense gave NDSU tons of issues, but I was a little bit surprised at the lack of energy and execution I saw from NDSU, especially coming off a week where they had, I mean, I guess you could say that you didn't know Illinois State was your opponent, but man, they had an extra week to prepare as well. And I was really, this is one of the worst NDSU performances I remember watching in a long time.
Yeah, it was garbage. Now, I want to give Matt some flowers because he gave them himself, but he also said, and you guys should all watch right now, just turn this off, go back to episode 8, minute 14:32. Matt just said, hey, NDSU is going to win it all. There's no one who's even in great competition with NDSU. So he said, we're booking our trip to Nashville. 14 minutes and whatever seconds I just said. So just turn this off, go back to that episode because, Matt's he's a troll and he's been a troll this whole year. And now he's just trying to, act polite since they finally got a L. Also, all of that was false. I have no clue what Matt said throughout the rest of the year because I don't listen to him because he's a joke. But yeah, it was a good performance. And I am glad you started, Zach, talking about Illinois State earned that. I mean, one thing I just want to bring up is the gutsy call, going for 2 at the very end because you had all the momentum for 1. So kick the field goal. Kick the extra point, try and send it to overtime because you were stopping Cole. They couldn't do anything outside of maybe a field goal at that, field position. But instead, you went for 2, which solidified the game. I got to give props. It always scared me once they started going for 2. I went, ooh, this is going to backfire. And here's how NDSU wins. A gutsy call, hell of a 2-point conversion to really just send NDSU's bags packing. And, again, I hate those calls, but I also love them when they succeed. So just a gutsy performance by Illinois State. And, the 5 picks, NDSU's defense did what they could, especially in the first half. And then Illinois State just slowly started picking them apart kind of in that fourth quarter where all the momentum shift changed. But yeah, that offense was just non-existent for NDSU. And I didn't think we'd see a performance like that. I'm pretty sure Matt didn't think we'd see a performance like that. One play, and that's all we had. That Bryce Lance, amazing 70-something yard touchdown. Other than that, there was nothing that NDSU could do versus Illinois State defense, which was pretty insane. I don't think anyone had this on their docket of this is how the game would flow. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say about this game outside of, woo, we're all excited.
Yeah, for sure. I've been very consistent on this show over the years saying I always love the call to go for the win. And when you're the underdog on the road, you go for the win there. You don't take this to overtime because a lot of crap could happen in overtime. It's a 25-yard field at that point. You just never know. You've already thrown 5 picks, despite the fact that, you kind of got it rolling downhill. Just allow me to troll for about a minute and a half here. But I remember a certain Fargo-based commenter last week talking about how Cole Payton deserved to be the Walter Payton Award winner because Bo Brungard couldn't beat an Ivy League team. Sir, you know who you are. Bo Brungard had 6 touchdowns in that game, and his defense let him down. But
his name's like a dove, right? Some type of bird, like a dove, crow,
something like
maybe
that.
Maybe a duck, something like that.
Something that swims, yeah. But, do you want 6 touchdowns and your defense blows it, or do you want 4 for 12, 101 yards, 78 on 1 pass and a touchdown, and 6 carries for minus 14 yards and a critical fumble that led to the game-winning touchdown? I mean, minus 14 yards rushing. The only person that had a worse rushing performance this week was Troy's quarterback and Troy's backup quarterback for that instance. But,
and Mark Sanchez. And he doesn't even play anymore.
Exactly. He probably got stabbed again. So, yeah, Cole Payton didn't have the game that was required to win this game. No. And that's basically what it comes down to. His defense handed it to him on a platter, and they couldn't do a damn thing. I mean, 2.2 yards a carry. Where do you see that from NDSU? And it goes to the point Matt was making, and I'm kind of done trolling now. It goes to the point of that offensive line just was not the offensive line of the past, and they just didn't make it happen. I mean, Sopkowicz, 3 touchdowns. Like that's the safety blanket. That's your Taco Dowler, that type of guy that he's going to look for. And tons of credit to Illinois State for battling back. Once it went, they threw that other pick, and I was it Capino that ran the ball in to make it 28-14. I thought game over. I had to go run an errand, and I was waiting as long as I could. And so we went out after that. The next thing I know, I look at the score, and it's what it was. So I had to go back and watch the end. But yeah, I mean, NDSU, they're done.
Now, trolling aside, I do want to give some flowers to Cole. Hell of a season, right? There was a couple games where he had, kind of a piss poor performance, but he was able to put the team on his back and get the dub when it mattered, right? Every quarterback, I think, known to man has had one bad game. It's unfortunate that this happened to him on this stage. And again, I love trolling NDSU, and I don't think Cole Payton should have any type of hate. He had one hell of a season. He is a phenomenal quarterback, and unfortunately, just your worst game you've ever had is going to be in the national stage when it matters the most. And just how do you bounce back from this? Just keep plugging away, keep practicing. You're a dog, you're a dude, and hopefully you make it work.
Yeah, I think the Payton voting might be closer than you think. I think both Zach and I, we had a little back and forth this week. We were talking about how it was so close to putting Cole at number 1, and we both kind of said we had reasons to do it, and neither one of them. You didn't, did you? You had
no. I had Brungard,
right? Which very well earned, but we could both have made the easy case for Cole, and maybe should have. But I think it's going to be a close vote. If Cole does win it, he deserves it.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. So as we move in, this is just recap time, guys. We got about 10 minutes here.
I want to talk about the game that, of course, Zach Mckinnell and I are probably the most shocked, and maybe everyone on this panel is the most shocked. But the Mercer South Dakota game. I mean that's the team you were pitching for pretty hard on the Mega Live with Dustin's podcast. Atkinson's a dude. Man, this just showed the difference in terms of the line play. That's what it looked like to me. It's just Atkinson had no time to throw. And just the Missouri Valley top dogs, their O-line, their D-line is just a little bit something the SoCon hasn't seen. But I just want your opinion on this game, because I didn't think anyone would have saw a 47-0, maybe a shootout, and maybe even a South Dakota win. I don't think that was, off the charts. We were probably thinking it's going to be a close competitive game, but 47-0, that just paints a completely different picture than I think what most people were anticipating.
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me before the game to draw up a worst case scenario for Mercer and a best case scenario for South Dakota, this is the game I would have drawn to you and handed to you because, I mean, Atkinson, listen, I understand that people are just going to look at the raw box score and see 4 picks and a low completion percentage. He was dealing at a time and like hitting people right in the face mask and it bouncing up for an interception. I mean, he had no help, none. And they really didn't get the run game going until the second half. And then I look on the other side. I'll be honest, the biggest thing I think that FCS national media has done as a whole is underrate how good South Dakota is playing right now. This team looks like the team that we saw last year and the team that we expected to maybe see in the preseason, where Aiden Bauman is looking like an all-American level quarterback right now. He's playing his best football. And LJ Phillips is putting himself in the conversation for best running back in the country. I mean, he is playing at a different level, and they have a freshman that's starting to emerge now with Carson Fletcher, who I think just adds another wrinkle to this defense. And then you had guys like Lorenzo Finner emerge at wide receiver because they had a ton of guys at tight end and receiver leave. The question was going to be who is going to help Bauman out. He's got a whole slew of weapons now on the outside. And so I think the biggest difference was South Dakota is playing its best football right now. And I just think, for me at least, I can't speak for everyone in the national media, I just think we all really underestimated how well South Dakota is playing. And Mercer probably played their worst game of the past 2 seasons under Mike Jacobs.
Yeah, they played kind of a Presby game, but that was without Atkinson.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing I've, like you, Kyler, like Zach, definitely underrated South Dakota. I mean, I think there's not much more to say about that game. And I'll go to the other team that I've completely underrated like all freaking year. And I just, for some reason, I keep picking against them. Maybe I'll learn my lesson. UC Davis. Battling back in the second half there. A back and forth game in the first half. But that second half, and we talked about how Braden Anderson kind of looked like a freshman. Caden Pittett did not look like a freshman.
No.
277, 5 touchdowns, 99 yards on the carry, on the ground. And it's not like Rhode Island played poorly either, so he needed every bit of that. Devin Farrell, Antoine Littlejohn, Marquise McKinnon all had good games.
Yeah.
But Pinnock just put that team on his back in the second half. Though that's one I wanted to hit. I know we're kind of going through these.
They completely wore down Rhode Island and just started taking advantage in the second half. I was hoping Rhodey would win. You guys saw those text messages I was sending, man. I do not want to see a Big Sky championship. I don't want to see 3 Big Sky teams in the semifinals. I just don't. So I was rooting hard for Rhodey, and now I'm going to root hard for Illinois State. But yeah, gutsy performance by UC Davis. They looked apart, and I don't think there's any. You said you were doubting them all year. I don't think there's been anyone more vocal than me saying how much they suck. And they keep punching me in the face on how much I'm wrong about UC Davis. So I just keep having that Idaho State game flash back at me. Where I go, how the heck did you lose Idaho State? Their defense looks apart. Their offense, Pennick is a beast, and I think he's going to be staying. So, yeah, gutsy performance by UC Davis. Now, the one game I think maybe we're not shocked by the performance because even, Zach and I were talking about this on the Mega Live, and some people are downplaying Tarleton. This Tarleton performance against UND, I mean, it made UND look like they haven't played anyone this physical all year. And we talk about the Missouri Valley being the most physical in the front 7, the lines. Tarleton was a bully. And the score doesn't even compare to what the game was doing. Like this looked like a 47-0 kind of game. I mean, Tarleton's defensive line just was stout. They were more physical, way more freak athletes. I mean, there was nothing North Dakota could do to even make this a game. So I want Zach McKinnell's, kind of a update on how this game went, because again, I think UND was shocked. They thought, hey, we're from the Missouri Valley. We have the toughest strength of schedule. If we're going to make this happen and get the win, we're going to play some physical ball and just out physical and make it ugly. That wasn't the case at all. This looked like men versus boys.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got fooled by last week. I tried to tell people, everyone just looked at the score, and North Dakota fans were after me last week. Look, we dominated Tennessee Tech. No, you didn't. You didn't dominate anybody. Like their offense sucked, and you didn't move the ball for 3.5 quarters. And you saw this week, Tarleton just suffocated them offensively. I mean, they had nothing offensively for them outside of a handful of explosive plays. Like, you look at the rushing yards, got 136, but what was it? 71 of those came on 2 runs.
Yeah,
that they just broke. I mean, Tarleton was faster stronger, more physical, and had better execution. And man, that slow mesh wore them down. And even early, they had no idea what to do against it in terms of just in terms of schematics. But then once they lose Lance Rucker off the edge, and once their pass rush was gone, they had no answer, because the only way to really slow down that slow mesh RPO type system is to get pressure on the quarterback and force him to get the ball out before he's ready. And once those wide receivers had time to work off those combo routes and choice routes, the DBs were in hell all game long.
Yeah.
And they had no idea what they were doing. And every time they got deep, Gabalis made a big time throw. And I think Jerry Kaminsky, his regression over the last probably 6-7 weeks has really got to be studied, man, because he just did not have it week in and week out. And Tylen Hines is going to be a problem for everyone they play next. And if people don't remember, he was a starter for Tarleton, got hurt week 0, came back the second to last week of the regular season. Now Trey Page is out. Tylen Hines is going to be an absolute issue and might be the best running back on Tarleton's roster. We just haven't got to see it because he's been banged up.
Yeah, they just next man up it. And I'll tell you, in person, that slow mesh is so annoying. It's like you watch this thing,
love it.
It's like they walk up. Gosh, I hate it.
That's one of my favorite offenses to watch. Like, I love that type of offense.
It works. It moves. I mean, Todd Whitten and his staff has done a great job, and there's a reason that he finished as high as he did in the voting for the coach of the year.
And then I was going to say, Matt already kind of alluded to this. We have to talk about this game, right? Because this was on paper probably the most sexy matchup of the week, where we didn't know if we were going to get that dominant, healthy South Dakota State versus, Grizz team who has struggled giving up yards passing, right? But again, like I said last week, it is weird. Just because they have one of the worst passing defense in turn of total yards, they're one of the most efficient in the country. They pick people off, they don't break. In the red zone, they're phenomenal. But I also said last week that South Dakota State has never seen the type of playmakers this year that are on Montana's offense. And I said, it's just a tricky offense to deal with. Gilman, Wortham, and then Ayat, who has just emerged himself as a really quality quarterback this year. He's grown so much compared to the offseason. And again, that offense is tough to prep against with the freak athletes that they have on that Grizz team. And I think, 50-29, you looking at the first quarter and you're like, all right, this is a South Dakota State that we were used to, right? Big touchdown, Chase Mason looked the part. We're like, all right, this is going to be that grind. But like we've seen all year, Montana has had a slow start, and we've judged them on it. We go, oh, eventually it's going to bite them in the butt when they play some of these elite teams. No, they just, once they got in their rhythm, they put on the gas, and there was nothing SDSU's defense could do to stop it. And SDSU's defense was elite all year, but there was nothing that they could do to stop this offense and these playmakers. And hell of a performance by Montana. I know, the mecca of the FCS, like they like to call it. I know all those fans were rowdy and they were having a good old time. That's why I gave you guys some flowers. I wore this ugly gear today just to show you guys I'm not an a-hole. But yeah.
You are, but that was nice of you.
For sure. 100% an a-hole. But Wortham's a beast. Gilman's a beast. I love the way he's playing this year, man. He is making smart decisions. He's an athlete. Sure, he has small hands, but who cares? He's a good quarterback. So it's been fun to watch the progression of Ayat for sure.
And they come at you from so many different angles too. And you've mentioned a bunch of them, and we didn't even say Stevie Rocker. We didn't say Brooke. Yeah. We didn't say Blake Bohannon. It's like, just where's the ball going? You don't know, and that's going to be a problem. And
they have so many dudes who can torch you.
Yeah.
And it's a different Montana team than we've seen maybe in previous years, where it's the offense has been the one holding them back, but they've had really electric defenses. This is a different beast of a Montana team. They have freak athletes on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep. Defensively too, I know everyone kind of gets caught up on the raw stats. They were missing their best corner for 6-7 weeks now.
Yeah.
And Loud, he's back now. And he is, again, like I'm telling you guys, just in pure talent from what I've seen on film, I think he might be the best man corner that I've watched in the FCS. Like, his potential is through the roof. And if he could take a side of the field out, it allows them to do so much with their safeties that are so athletic and can do so many different things. And like you said, Ayat might be the most improved player in the FCS this year.
Yeah,
I thought,
100%.
he was atrocious the past 2 years. And then also to South Dakota State, I think all their issues kind of got exposed is the fact that it wasn't really Chase Mason that was the issue there. Like, yes, it helps that you got him back, but you played a terrible New Hampshire team last week that wasn't going to prepare you for anything, and you still can't run the football. You still really can't protect the quarterback. Offensive line just got overwhelmed in this one, and I just think defensively they finally kind of wore down because they were just on the field too long.
Yeah. Let's not get out of I know we got a few more to review. Let's not get out of here and keep Rev waiting any longer. Sam Vidlac, speaking
It was
of
all right.
Montana,
Just be honest. You just tell him it's all right.
yeah, we don't want his head to get too big. It's already out there as it is. He's not going to be able to get through the door if they win one more game.
Yeah, he thinks they're going to be the favorite against MSU. It's a wild take, but oh well.
Vidlac playing out of his gourd. Just got running the ball with a few different guys. Kylon Harris, 11 for 183 and a touchdown. Good.
He's a freak, man.
Just
that was the most entertaining game of the
that
week.
was very fun.
I get, the reaction of the Illinois State game is entertaining, and that's gotten a bulk of, the conversation flowing. But this was the most entertaining. It's my game I love to watch. It was a back and forth shootout. I mean, no defense, and that's what I love to see as an Eastern Washington fan from the good old days. Like, if I can just pace that and watch that type of game every single week, I would say let's do it. Let's not even run defense. Let's just put two people on the field and see who can score more. That's what I love to watch. And I mean, again, SFA, sure, their defense didn't look the part. Their offense just was crushing. But also ACU has an amazing offense too, right? They're the ones who beat Tarleton. I mean, that's a good team. In SFA, I mean, again, that last little drive, I was like, oh no, this is going to be, disastrous for SFA, how they've been playing. But then finally the defense that they've been in the top, 5 almost in every category all year finally showed up, and they made the big stops. They had that big sack. And again, props to SFA. I also loved, and I told the Rev this too, that was a phenomenal home crowd. I get the numbers only show 8,000 for one. It looked more than 8,000. But when you looked at the photos that Rev was sending us, it looked sold out. I mean, that thing was just covered in purple, and it was cool to see. Now, I would say 99% of them were, Abilene Christian fans because they were purple too. But no, solid homecoming. I mean, again, Rev, glad you got to go up there and watch that game because what an entertaining game. I want every single playoff game to be like this. Shootouts, fun. Whoever gets the ball last has an opportunity to win it, back and forth. That was the most entertaining game I think we're going to see on the playoffs.
Yeah,
Very cool, gentlemen. Well, I'm sure with some of the few teams we didn't mention are going to get mentioned here in the next upcoming one. Why don't we get to some of our upcoming games? Because Jeremiah Rash asked a simple question here. He said, can the Valley teams make it past the quarterfinals? Well, you're going to get predictions here in this next segment besides Zach Mckinnell, because I know he's going to have his later in the week. And let's get right into that first big matchup that involves a Missouri Valley team, Illinois State at number 8, UC Davis, just like everyone predicted. So here we go, gentlemen. Let's talk about this one. The Redbirds are going all the way out west to take on a great quarterback. Mr. McKinnell, what are your initial thoughts on this matchup?
If you would have asked me before the game last week, I would have said UC Davis by a whole lot, but now I'm not particularly sure. Like, the one concern I have is this: when are the injuries going to catch up with UC Davis? Just they're missing so many pieces defensively, and I kind of worry that we're going to get to a point here in the playoffs where you're going to need a Rex Connors, you're going to need Porter to get healthy, like you're going to need some of these D linemen to get healthy, but also too, and I heard Kyler mention earlier that Idaho State lost for them. The reason they lost that game was because Caden Pinnock played like a freshman.
Yeah.
Are we going to continue to see Caden Pinnock play like he has against Sac State this past weekend against Rhode Island? Or are we going to get the Caden Pinnock that looks like a freshman? Because this Illinois State team is too good for you to give them too many chances offensively. I actually think this is going to be one of the higher scoring games of the week, but I think it's going to come down to, one, can Rittenhouse not throw 5 interceptions? Because I don't know if UC Davis's offense is going to be as anemic as NDSU was this past week. But then also, two, how much pressure can they get on Pinnock, and can they keep him in the pocket? Because he is a superb playmaker. And there were some times Rhode Island had him boxed up, and he just got out of the pocket and made a crazy play. I do want to see that matchup, and those are some of the things I'm looking for.
Yeah, this is the game where I look at it and go, all right, this is the Valley's best chance to send someone past the quarters for sure. Now, again, I just said I've been dogged on UC Davis pretty much the whole season, but last week I did say when everyone was like, oh, after Rhode Island's performance, this is going to be a closer game. And that's when I went, after Rhode Island's performance, I'm way more confident in UC Davis. That's the only time I said that all year, that I was really confident in UC Davis. And this game, I'm not very confident. And again, I think it's more of a 50-50 game. I think either of these teams can pull off a win. It really depends on, can Illinois State's defensive line get to Pennick and start making him look like a freshman again? I mean, Pennick has a phenomenal receiver in Batu Jr. I mean, that guy's a freak. He's fast. He's quick. He runs really good routes. He's got exceptional hands. But if you can get to Pennick and start making him make mistakes, and, that's what we saw with Aya a few years ago. Sometimes when the pressures come in, that's when you start to make mistakes. You're not reading, the field correctly. You're just panicking and you make a throw. And again, Pennick's looked phenomenal. He has looked like a hell of a quarterback, especially as a freshman. But if you can get in his face and make him rush decisions instead of just standing in the pocket, maybe escaping a little bit and waiting for, the wide receivers to develop, then you got a good chance to, upset Davis. And I don't think this would be an upset. I mean, Illinois State, 9 wins, 10 wins now. They're probably going to be the betting favorite. I think Vegas will have Davis as the favorite. But in terms of people betting, probably after that NDSU win, now Illinois State, those bets are going to flow towards Illinois State. But this is a 50-50 game, and I'm not really sure who's going to come out on top, but I am really excited about this game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be protecting the ball, whichever team doesn't turn it over. I mean, because both of these quarterbacks, and I know Rittenhouse had 5, so he's got 10 on the year, and he had 5 last week, so that inflates that a little bit. Pennick's got 9. So, I mean, the offenses are fairly similar. Rittenhouse isn't quite as mobile, but they've got those receiver that they trust, Sopkowitz, Vadu. So, I mean, keeping the quarterbacks contained and not turning the ball over. And I mean, that's an evergreen comment. That could be any game at any time. I get that. But I think it's especially true here is protecting the ball. Like Illinois State got away with one when you turn the ball over that much, but their defense had a plan, and maybe they just say, you know what, same game plan. You got to change up a little bit because it's a little bit different with Pennick versus Cole, but the menu and the recipe is there, and the framework is there. I'm going to stop doubting them. I'm going to say UC Davis gets out of there by a field goal.
Are we picking it? All right. I'm picking Illinois State, the Redbirds, just because I really do not want to see a Big Sky championship. But you know what? If the Redbirds fail, Tarleton's going to make it up for me, so it doesn't even matter. Davis is not going to the title, because also what a boring crowd that would be. A whole bunch of nerds who are quiet, who live, in their mansions doing nothing. Oh, I got a lot of money because I'm smart and I have a good job. F you. You don't make for good football fans. So I hope UC Davis doesn't go to Nashville.
I'll take the better quarterback. I'll take the home team. And, that's a big win for Illinois State, and kudos to them. But I like UC Davis at this point, and I'll take them by a touchdown. So,
yeah, Davis is a phenomenal team. They're well coached, too. I mean, that is a very well-coached team. They make really good decisions. I would not be shocked if UC Davis pulled out a win and even made that run to Nashville. I hope it doesn't happen, because I want to troll the Big Sky.
Well, it's going to be fun to see how that one plays out. What's really going to be fun is breaking down a team we didn't talk about in the last segment, along with the prediction of upcoming. Well, we dog on them so bad, but the CAA brings a representative out there in Villanova who's going to travel to Tarleton. Here we go, gentlemen. Jamie Williams, kick us off. You've been okay with Tarleton. You're wearing some purple tonight. What do you think about this one to kick us off for some discussion?
Definitely wearing purple for Tarleton and SFA. Those are the reasons. I think another really good matchup on both sides of the ball. These teams are pretty similar in how they look to me. Quarterbacks that don't turn it over a ton, which I dogged Pat McQuaid pretty much all year. All the dude's done is play ball and not turn it over. He got 2 picks all year. Cabalas has 5. Got a solid mustache, though. Looking like the Adonis. No wild boars yet. I don't know if Villanova can be a wild boar. The running game for both, I mean, having injuries and just having the next guy up. Page has been out. Abbott for Villanova. And then just the defense. This is going to be a fun game. I think both teams have the offense to open it up. I don't know that this game gets opened up. I'm not sure either team gets out of the 20s. I just think Tarleton's playing a little bit better football right now, and I think they win this game.
Ooh, I think we're going to disagree on this one.
Let it be heard here. If that's a low-scoring affair, probably like no one predicted Montana State and Yale, I'll be clipping Jamie Williams. He's going all over Twitter for that one.
Yeah. Villanova's defense is extremely good, especially, the back half of the season. They've played lights-out defense, but they're ready for basketball season. This is a team that does not care about football, so they're just ready for basketball. No, but I think Tarleton, especially after watching them against UND, and I think, again, it was pretty alarming how good that defensive line has been. They're also just a pick machine, turnover machine. What they have 12, 13 more than the next closest team to them. I don't think Villanova is going to be prepared. I don't think they got the horses to slow down that offense, even though their defense is phenomenal. I just think this is a different beast of a team they're going with. So I'm completely disagreeing with Jamie. I think this might be the game that looks the worst on the end of the scoreboard. Give me Tarleton by whatever they want.
Ooh. I mean, listen, I don't know if y'all watched the Lehigh game this week. That was the most frustrating. Like, it was one of the best games of the weekend, but so frustrating. I mean, Lehigh had a turnover on downs inside the 5. I think it was their first drive.
It was their first drive, yeah.
They fumbled in Villanova territory. They had a missed field goal. Turned it over on downs again in Villanova territory, and then fumbled inside the 15 to end the game. That game could have been like 35-7 if they wanted to. I mean, Villanova could not run the football, only had like 2 good offensive drives. I don't love the matchup for them. If we're talking just stylistically, like I think it was Kyler said, I just don't know if they have the secondary that forces enough turnovers to slow down this offense. And then 2, they don't have a bona fide pass rusher like Lance Rucker with UND before he got hurt to get after Gabalis and force him out of the pocket. If they do, they're going to have to be real aggressive with their linebackers. And in this offense, if you move your linebackers down to blitz them, they're going to throw it right over the top at you, and it's not going to be good. So I do think the matchup favors Tarleton by a good bit.
What I love about Tarleton, and I think Tarleton's going to win big, and that's my prediction. What I love about NDSU leaving the field is Tarleton allows my old Sam Houston defense to come out, which is, okay, yeah, they got blown out against NDSU or James Madison, but they always got to them. Like, nobody else was really slowing them down. Now with North Dakota State out of the way, I can see it in the YouTube comments right now, folks. Everyone's like, Tarleton, Tarleton, Tarleton. Is anybody talking that narrative if the Bison are still in the field? Probably not. So I love that they're getting the love that they probably deserve. And I do think they put on a whooping here. And I'll take a similar score to what they did to UND. So what do you think there, Jamie? What do you got?
Yeah, I'm sticking with it. I'm not going to back down. I like the defenses in this game. I like the offenses game too a lot. But I don't think either team gets out of the 20s. And it might be 28-7 Tarleton. But I still don't think either team gets out of the 20s.
There it is.
That's fine.
Just to qualify right there. That was a good
damn right. I'll backpedal like Dion if I need to, but I'm still sticking with it.
That's incredible. What's hopefully incredible too is the Revs team showing up on Saturday, if I'm correct on that.
Friday night.
Friday night lights for SFA and Montana State. All right, Kyler, you're up first, buddy. We're out to the Big Sky, your favorite conference. What do you think on this one?
I love the Rev, and I will be a big Lumberjack fan this weekend. Friday night, I'm rooting for the Lumberjacks hard. Like I said last week, like I said on Revs Mega Live, that the quarters was it for SFA. We picked them going to the quarters. We picked them going to Montana State. And sure, Yale looked pretty tough. Montana State lost a few linebackers, and Yale was just owning that time of possession by just getting those 4 yards. I don't see SFA having even the same type of success Yale had. Now, I think SFA played Yale. I think SFA probably wins. But no, I think Montana State's going to make a statement. Sorry, Rev. Again, I love you, and I'm rooting for you, and I hope you win. I just don't think you're going to be able to really slow them down, and I think Montana State's defense is going to put Vidlac in a little bit of more hot water than he's been in all year, where he's going to get a little frustrated because, maybe those throws that are typically there, they're going to be picked off. Maybe, the defensive line for Montana State is going to get in his face and he's going to make some mistakes, maybe not look as accurate. And he had a hell of a performance this last week, but this is not Abilene Christian. Montana State's defense is just fantastic, and I don't see a lot of success for SFA. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I don't think this is going to be a great game.
Look, Texas forever, Rev. Texas forever. Clear eyes, full hearts, but you can lose, and you probably will, unfortunately. I do think that I've had that queued up all day. What can I say?
That was meaner than the Renegade read.
Oh, damn, I missed the Renegade read. I do think SFA can hang with Montana State. I've trolled the Rev a little bit. I shouldn't. I'm sorry, Rev. I apologize. Please be with the Pygmies down there in New Guinea. But I think they'll hang for a little while. I just think Montana State's going to have a little too much. I think a little also too much is being made of the Julius Davis thing.
Yeah,
I get why. I do. It's not a good look. But, you know, emotions are what they are. He shouldn't have done what he did to Vegan. I'm sure he and Vegan have had that conversation. And I don't think it's going to matter. He'll be out there. And I think Montana State just looks like a team that's on the roll. And there's only one team I think that can slow them down. I don't know that there's that team that can beat them. They didn't beat them a couple weeks ago. We might be able to talk about that later. But I think, I think Montana State wins here probably by 2 scores.
Yeah. Do you think it's that revenge game, Zach? Not revenge game, but do you think they get back on track after that Yale performance? I mean, it was not great.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They started out really bad in this one. And like after we all, including myself, was talking up how well Justin Lampson played, he looked pedestrian at best.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just like he'll just have games where he just seems a little bit off. And it kind of goes to they really don't have a dude at wide receiver. Like Taco Dowler's good, but he's not a guy on the outside that's going to win a ton of one-on-one matchups. And that's an issue. Chris Long's is coming along as well. But the question is going to be, can SFA's defense hold up long enough? Because you know the Montana State's going to run the football and run it again and run it again. Does the depth of Stephen F. Austin hold up in that one? Because I do think Yale found some success on the ground at times. And I do wonder if Stephen F. Austin can replicate that in some way. But Vidlac is going to have to not do what Dante Reno did and throw, 2 picks? And they had another one, I think, as well. So you cannot lose the turnover battle there. I do think this has a chance to be a closer game than people expect, though, because SFA's defense is legit. And Jalen Mayo and Charles Demings at corner are outstanding. And maybe if Lampson puts the ball in harm's way, they can force a handful of turnovers and keep this one closer than everyone believes they can.
Well, what do you think there, Jamie Williams? Montana State, SFA?
Yeah, Montana State, couple scores.
I've had a bad week. SFA, 3 points, upset. Go Rev. Clear minds, all emotion, no facts. There you go. All right, guys. An interesting one to say the least.
The Frazee way.
The Frazee way, baby. Is it possible that South Dakota, who just clipped me on social media, and I'd asked them to do this because all year long I have been horrendously mean to their team, and the tweet finally happened. I am getting owned by the USD Coyotes on Twitter, which is great. Can Montana eliminate the entire state of South Dakota and the final Dakota? That is the question. Mr. McKinnell, I'll give you the floor first for a breakdown of what would be a intriguing matchup.
I am a little curious on how Montana schemes against the South Dakota offense, because we know exactly what they're going to do, right? It's going to be a ton of LJ Phillips, and then it's going to hopefully create some opportunities over the top for Lorenzo Finner in this passing attack to get over, to just generate some explosive plays. And I think the secondary for Montana is they've allowed some of those, but if they find a way to just take those away, I mean, you don't have to be turnovers, just where they can't push the ball down the field and you just force them to be one-dimensional. I think Montana has a really good shot. On the flip side, we just have to have Ayat not turn the football over, because this South Dakota defense, I know throughout the season, if you look at their stats from week 1 to now, they don't force a ton of turnovers. But if you look at their stats from the winning streak to now, they are forcing a ton more turnovers here. And so I do think that's something to watch for, because Ayat has had some moments of just head-scratching decisions, despite his whole season overall being really, really good. But I think the X factor here, guys, is it's been the X factor all year. Is it's not Wortham, it's Eli Gilman. And can South Dakota do anything to take away Gilman? Because I think this weekend you saw him be the X factor in the South Dakota State game against a really good front seven for South Dakota State as well. And they had no answer for Gilman and what he creates for this offense and takes the pressure off of Ayat. And on top of that, too, allows them to stay on schedule and ahead of the change, which allows them to do some of the creative things they want to do with Wortham. And then with him and Brooks Davis on the outside, I do wonder if Montana's weapons overwhelm the South Dakota defense, because it is going to be a little bit different than playing Mercer this past weekend.
I think with this game is you got to look at kind of back at the whole Big Sky this year. There wasn't a lot of elite running backs in the Big Sky conference this year, right? So of course this is going to be by far, with LJ Phillips, the best running back Montana's ever seen. So if they're smart, and again, Bobby Houck, he seems to be a pretty good coach, right? He's had a lot of success. So it's crazy if I'm saying if they're smart. But what Montana does that has opened up the middle of the field quite a bit in the passing realm, and that's where they've struggled, teams getting first downs, is because they blitz these crazy packages with a lot of their front seven, their linebackers, they're blitzing. Now, sometimes if you're blitzing against an elite running back, he's just going to stand in kind of the pocket and wait till a hole opens up. So if Montana doesn't blitz as frequently as they have been, because their blitz packages are pretty ridiculous and they're hard to prep for, but if their linebackers stay back a little bit and have LJ Phillips try and beat them after 2 yards instead of getting to them before the line, then I also don't think the middle of the field is going to be quite open. And that's where, Bauman might struggle a little bit if those blitz packages aren't there, because, LJ Phillips and company, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. They're going to try and run it down your throat. So Montana does have good linebackers, if they just sit back a little bit and wait for the play to develop, I don't think the middle of the field is going to be quite as open for the quarterback play. But again, we'll have to see. But I also don't think South Dakota has, just like I mentioned with South Dakota State, they just haven't seen these freaks on the offensive side. And I think, playing at Wild Grizz, I got to go with Montana, probably by a good 10 to 14 points in this game. But I am curious with that LJ Phillips. What does Montana do with those linebackers? Do they just go haywire and just try and get to them in the backfield? If not, I think that can create some problems.
Yeah, I definitely think that South Dakota is going to try to keep their offense on the field, keep the Grizz offense on the sideline. That's the only way to really slow them down. But yeah, if Ayat and team protect the ball, I like Montana here. I'll just keep doubting South Dakota. Why not? They already give me enough hell as it is. It's fun. I enjoy it. I've enjoyed the back and forth with the 3 or 4 South Dakota fans that exist. That was cool. But I like my Grizz here. People say I love the Grizz, hate the Grizz. I do respect the Grizz. I like this team a whole lot. I just feel like that offense is so multiple. They've got so many weapons that you never know where the ball's going, and it can be anybody at any time. And yes, Gilman's their linchpin, their best player. He's the key. But if you try to take him out of the game, they've got 5 other guys who can take the ball and make a play. So I like the Grizz here. And I think they pull away late.
Yeah, I like the comment in here from the great Jim Poppin about Aiden Bauman. And if the offensive line gets some pressure and they're struggling, he gets some happy feet and he's not as comfortable in the pocket. He doesn't have the biggest mobility in the world. And I think Montana can cause that kind of chaos. And I really do like the Grizz to take the victory in this one. So, all right, we've got some predictions out of the way, and we'll see if our semifinals predictions come true. Real quickly, more of like a one-word answer. Who's your favorite to win the national championship now? Jeremiah Rash is curious. What do you think, Kyler? Who's your favorite?
Man, I think styles make for matchups. So if it becomes, I don't know. This one's tough. It's going to be either Montana or Montana State probably. But again, I said a while ago that on a neutral field, I like Tarleton over Montana, but I don't like Tarleton over Montana State. So again, styles do make for matchups, and I would want to see a Tarleton versus Montana game for the electric fireworks that can happen. But I think that's where Tarleton would excel a little bit more, because now you got to, have a shootout. And I just like maybe the defense a little bit better on Tarleton than I do Montana. But I don't think Tarleton gets past Montana State. So can the Grizz overcome Montana State in Bozeman? That's going to be kind of the kicker. And I don't know. It's hard to beat a good team twice. Matt, you can say how hard it is to beat a good team twice. But I think right now
it's hard to beat an average team twice. No, I'm just
but
kidding.
right now it's also hard to kind of count against the Grizz with all of their weapons too. I'll just go probably the Bobcats right now, but I don't feel very confident in that answer. I think it's a 3-team horse race right now.
Yeah, I like the way the Grizz are playing. I would say the Grizz right now are. I did not expect them to do that to SDSU. That was pretty shocking. Also, I don't think anyone's really mentioned this. If they beat South Dakota, that's 3 Dakotas down. They'd be 3-0 against Dakotas this year because they beat UND early in the season.
That's because the Missouri Valley's overrated.
Totally. Jamie, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, part of me does want to say Tarleton, but I know that the Grizz lost at home to Montana State. I think if they get the chance again, I like the Grizz. I really like the Grizz, and I'm not. I will get the that I hate Montana State. I'll get that. I know that's fine. Whatever. I want to say Tarleton. I like that team a lot, but I think it still might run through the state of Montana. I'll take the Grizz.
Zach Mckinnell, you're the expert here. Give us the one true opinion.
Yeah, I'm so torn on Tarleton and Montana State. Like, I really do think it's one of those. But like Kyler said, if it's all about matchups. If Montana gets to the national title, I think my favorite would be Tarleton. I really like Tarleton stylistically in that Montana matchup, but I still think, especially the fact that they're going to get that potential brawl rematch at home, if Montana State meets them there, man, it's going to have to be Montana State. I just think they're the most complete team right now when you look offensive and defensively. So I would lean Montana State slightly over Tarleton as my favorite.
Also, can we have Zach on every single podcast? Because before he talks, almost every time he's like, kind of like what Kyler said. So I just love this validity right now. We got the GOAT, the guy who's the most knowledgeable. He can school us all if we team up on him 3-1. But he keeps saying, like Kyler said. So, you know,
but then he starts to disagree with you.
We both picked Montana State. Shut your dirty mouth.
You picked like 6 of the 8 teams left.
I picked 3, and I think we're all picking those same 3.
He named every single one of them. Was like, man, if McQuaid plays better, man, but Villanova really might have a good match.
Well, just like Jamie,
loves CAA.
I'm a backtrack the whole time, just like Jamie. So you can't say I was ever wrong if I pick everyone.
Yeah, Kyler said, listen, if Stephen F. Austin gets whooping cough, they might let NDSU back into the tournament, and they're going to make a run to Nashville.
Let's go.
I wouldn't be shocked. You can't leave it, you can't forfeit a game. So, yeah, I think that's going to happen.
All right, we'll be able to react to this game, but I'm going to kind of almost mute Jamie, Kyler, and us here because we've talked about these things a lot. And if people have not had a chance to hear Zach Mckinnell's perspectives on HBCU scheduling, Ivy League scheduling, it's like a beautiful silhouette that's about to come out because the knowledge is incredible. But Dan asked the question for you, Zach. With the Ivies finally participating in the playoff, what does the future look like for them and perhaps the HBCUs that are on the fringes of the playoffs? Will the Ivies bring their schedule to 12 games? Will they schedule tougher out of conference? It'd be cool to feel like we had all full in participation. So, those fringe HBCUs that aren't in Celebration Bowl, everything else, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think it's a different conversation that if we're talking about HBCUs compared to the Ivy Leagues, because the Ivy League just wasn't participating because of whatever you want to blame it on, right? Some people have their theories, and we'll just leave it at that. I do think the one thing that the Ivy Leagues joining could help is, one, we've already kind of heard about maybe potentially making this a little bit more lucrative for teams to participate in the playoffs. And if that happens, if the Ivy Leagues bring that, which I do think is tied, if I'm not mistaken, the private equity people are all Ivy League alums, that's a good thing, I think. Now, you can have the debate about private equity all day, right? Or, and all this, but I do think making it financially beneficial to win a national championship would be a good thing for the subdivision. And it would maybe even keep some teams here, right? Because a lot of the excuses you hear is we'd rather go play in the Bahamas Bowl that 700 people go to, but man, we might get $700,000 to contribute to athletics, and that's better for us. Or like look at JMU. I don't know how much money, but they're going to get like $4 million, I think, for participating in the playoffs or something. I mean, how great would it be if we could have that? So if that happens, the HBCU conversation changes, and that's why this is a long lead up to. The HBCUs are not going to value the playoffs until it brings value financially to their institutions, because they've historically been underfunded due to systemic racism and other factors outside of that. And for them, their budgets are very, very tight. And when you got the Celebration Bowl where you get $1 million, $2 million for your conference/school, that means a whole lot more than participating in the playoffs, where financially you could lose however much money depending on how you play it, or you just break even and call it a day. And if you're not sending your number one team as an HBCU conference, the odds of you hosting a game are almost none as well. So which means you're on the road another week. Bands are important. The NCAA doesn't cover band travel, so now you're coming out of pocket to send your band potentially to a playoff game. So there's just all these different factors. So until the playoffs make financial sense, I would not expect the HBCU conferences to value it. Now, for the Ivy League scheduling question, I would think so. I think what you're going to see is tougher out of conference scheduling before you see a 12th game added. Now, potentially they could add an 11th, but I've said this again. I wouldn't get caught up on the 10 games because some of these programs play BS games anyway. What's really the difference between 10, 11, and 12 games, especially if some of these teams are playing D2 opponents, some of these teams are playing FBS opponents for paychecks. If the FCS record is 11-0 versus 10-0, what's the real fundamental difference in that? I really don't think it's much, but I do think for the HBCUs to be involved, man, we just got to bring more money to the playoffs. And I think for everyone in the chat, they would like to see their institutions be financially rewarded for making long runs in the playoffs instead of losing money. But that's a whole nother side note that we can go down on ways to potentially do that as well. Because the Celebration Bowl on ABC, first bowl game, and you get a massive payout. Man, I think there's a handful of FCS schools that would pick that over the playoffs too if they had the chance.
Incredible perspective. Dan's even in the chat, and he gives you a huge shout out, Zach, for just your insight on all those topics. And it leads into the Celebration Bowl itself. South Carolina State, Prairie View A&M. Again, almost jokingly, the matchup we all suspected it would be. What do you think about this one? This is going to be quite a great game from everything that we've been seeing. And I'll give Jamie and Kyler shout outs. They picked up on the traction of these teams and how they were playing and predicted them very well throughout the season. What do you got, Zach? What do you think?
Yeah, this is going to be when you talk about like an evenly matched game in almost every aspect. I don't know who I would pick right now. It's because you look at how these teams are built. You have two teams that run the ball really well, have quarterbacks that have continually got better throughout the year, and they're playing their best football right now. But the real key is you have two really, really great defenses in this game. South Carolina State is playing at an all-time level, and they only have returned, I think, one defensive starter, man. So Coach O'Daffer over there at South Carolina State has been coaching at a high level, and Tremaine has completely flipped his roster. And they run that weird, like, 3 safety cap defense, and it's super, super hard to prepare for, and people have struggled with it all year. And, man, they just beat a really, really good Jackson State team this weekend on the road in the SWAC championship. Just to kind of give y'all where I'm leaning PV right now. I think that they're one of the hottest teams in the FCS right now, and I love how Cam Peters is playing at quarterback. And I actually think when you have a team as hot as PV playing in back-to-back weeks is more beneficial as long as you don't have any significant injuries. South Carolina State hasn't played since the 22nd of November. It's a lot of rest, but really and truly they can't prepare until they know who they're playing this week. And so I do think the long break could make South Carolina State a little bit rusty to start this game on Saturday.
All right, prediction time, boys. Kyler, what do you think? South Carolina State, Prairie View A&M, baby.
I got to go with the hometown team, one of my favorite stadiums that I've seen at the FCS level. I think that thing is just beautiful. So, yeah, I got to go with PV, just a couple, minutes from my home. It's next weekend. Yeah, I'm going PV, baby.
I was part of the call it early crowd with the Bulldogs. I mean, I'm not going to bail on them now, so I'm going to take South Carolina State in an epic close game. 4-point victory for the Bulldogs. Mr. Williams.
Yeah, this is going to be so good. And like we talked about, good defenses, good quarterbacks, excellent coaches.
Yeah.
Both sides, excellent coaches. You'll know both will have a great game plan. I think it's going to be a really close game, and I'll do the Matthew Frazee and just pick with my heart. I'm going to go with the bowl-winning quarterback, Mr. Billy Atkins the fourth.
I forgot about that connection.
Yeah, you know I'm not going to though.
Rockwell's going to have a game, boys, and he's going to set the tone.
He might, but I'll let's go, Billy. Let's go, Billy. This could be a great game, and either team. This is good. Either team win. No kidding. What a dumb statement. But I won't be surprised no matter which team wins.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun one to watch. South Carolina State. This is going to be a great, great celebration bowl, and everybody should be sitting on their couch at noon Eastern on Saturday.
Should be fun. And if it's noon, that means it's probably lunchtime. So we've got a good option for you for that.
Taco King, coming to you from bright and sunny Fargo, North Dakota. It's time for a taco bet, and time for you losers to pay up.
All right, I kept this taco bet completely under wraps, and I came up with it at drill in my brain while typing at a computer. All right, gentlemen, who scores the most points combined? All right, is it the carnivores, the humans, the kitties, or the predators? Your carnivores, okay, you ready? Are the Grizz and the Coyotes. The humans are the Texans and the Lumberjacks. The kitties are the Wildcats and the Bobcats. And your carnivores, or I'm sorry, what's the opposite of the carnivore? What's the thing that eats plants? What is that?
Herbivores.
Herbivores. Okay. The herbivores is the Redbirds and the horse. So that's UC Davis in Illinois State.
I mean, for one, biology was not a strong suit in the Dakota.
They're not hornets.
If you think a bird is not a carnivore,
they don't eat twigs and stuff. You know what? They do on this show. So
I think
they're also not hornets.
All right. Well, I'm not switching the categories now. This is live, so there's no way to switch it. So you got to pick between those options. For some reason, horses and birds are connected in this world.
Definitely evolution put them right together.
1,000%. All right. So you either get who's scoring the most points combined this weekend. It's the Coyotes and Grizz. It's Montana State and Villanova, or it's Tarleton and SFA, or Illinois State and UC Davis. You know what's beautiful about this is it kind of does mirror like, I think they will, but I think they won't. So, all right, Kyler, what do you think?
Yeah, give me a USD versus Montana. I think that game is going to have the most points scored.
I believe that's my only matchup in this hypothetical combination.
It is, but like, again, kitties are carnivores too. So I was like, this is so easy. It's carnivores or not. 4 of the 6 of the 8 teams are carnivores. But yeah, give me the Grizz versus the Coyotes.
Herbivores. That's like a dinosaur thing. Zach McKinnell, what do you got?
Yeah, give me the Grizz and the Coyotes here. I almost went Illinois State, UC Davis too. Like that one could be pretty high scoring as well.
I actually think SFA is going to score a little bit more than people realize. So I actually and I think Tarleton's going to lay it on. So I'm going to take the humans. I'm going to go Texans and Lumberjacks. What do you think, Jamie?
I mean, I'll go with the Apex Predators of the Grizz and the Coyotes. So let's rock there.
The humans were my second choice, though.
Mine too. I was going to pick it till Matt did, and he came up with this thing, and it was weird. So
I did it at work, and I didn't
love you, Matt.
Thoughts. So you know what? It's better.
I'm glad you're focusing on this instead of protecting our country.
Trust me, my position. If I'm in the fight, we're in a lot of trouble. But you know what makes for a good time? Some quick hits.
Just because your question is answered quickly doesn't mean we don't care. It's time for this week's quick hit questions.
All right, gentlemen, we started off with what was our leader on the leaderboard when it comes to the bracket challenge, Mr. Steven Wagner. He says he wants to know the biggest surprise yesterday, besides the obvious one. And Matt, how you doing? So here's my emotional state. I tell you what, 10, 11 years ago, Matt is probably at the bar, very upset, very angry. I probably take work off for a day or two. but maybe with maturity and everything else. And I'm not going to lie, this
10 national
podcast,
championships.
yeah, it gets worse. Honestly, this podcast and this experience in the community I have here is like the world's best backup for the failure of your own football team. So now I get to have what I've always said is the best experience of the championship. Going on the field is great. It's euphoric, right? At the end. It's just all nerves prior to that. So I'm just going to be chilling, having a few margaritas. People can have them with Matt if they want, and it should be a good time. So also my middle child, Easton, was at the game, and at the end of it, my 7-year-old, he definitely got my I do not like to lose mentality. Also, last thing, terrible way to raise kids is making them Bison fans. They have no appreciation for having to overcome something hard. They expect to win every time, so I should have made them Eagles fans.
Mississippi Valley State fans, 100%.
Yeah, Delta Devils. All right, biggest surprise yesterday. Kyler, give me yours. Just you. What do you think besides that one?
Honestly, probably the Grizz scoring 50. I know they have that electric offense, and we were talking about it, all of last week, but I still don't think they would drop 50 on that elite of a defense. So that was a big shock for me. I don't want to say Illinois State versus NDSU. That's the cop-out answer. So, yeah, the Grizz scoring 50.
Very cool. What do you think about this one, Zach? Adam says, at this point, if you could reseed the field, what would your seeds be? So maybe not like a 1 through 8, but do you think it actually held up pretty well based off the season?
Yeah, probably. I still don't think UC Davis deserved the 8 seed, but I guess that could be debated. And all. I mean, really and truly, you look at how South Dakota's playing, you can make an argument that they maybe deserve that 8 seed over UC Davis with how good they've been playing. And then also Illinois State, I mean, beat the 16 seed and then beat the number 1 overall seed. Maybe they should have been in consideration for a top seed. So I think that'd be my answer to that without having to reseed all these teams.
No doubt. Does the NCAA need to restrict the hiring of head coaches during the football season? JMC asked. Jamie, what do you think? Is there any way to pause that in the chaos of college football?
I don't think there's any way to pause it, but I do think, and I think there's been a lot of pundits say you got to reset the calendar in a different way so that you get these seasons cleared and you don't have the transfer portal opening at this time. Let everything finish, and then get all this administrative stuff done. It's such a distraction. You got teams declining games and players declining to play in the playoff games and the bowl games and coaches going here and there and everywhere. And they're going to stick through the playoffs and they're not, and all this stuff. Just shift the calendar to the right.
Zach, Eric Kletke, one of our great fans on Gold, great human. Is this championship Montana's or Montana State's to lose with NDSU going down now? Is that the narrative, you think?
For those fans, yes. I think if it for both of those fan bases, they're looking straight at Vegan and Bobby and saying, if you don't win the national championship this year, we're going to have a conversation, because this is wide open now, especially with South Dakota State being out too and not being as good as we maybe thought. But I'm telling you, I keep staring at Tarleton and just that's going to be one of those teams that just gets there. Like Sam Houston, when everyone's like, oh, they're never going to get it done. It's going to be one of those situations where they finally break through after being right there. So I do think that's the narrative, though, is that Montana State and Montana, someone's got to get it done. Because it was 84 for Montana State the last time they won it, and it was 01 for Montana?
Yep.
So, man, it's been a long time, and both those fan bases feel like they've been at the top. They got to win it this year.
Yeah, I was actually alive the last time Montana State won. I guess none of y'all were.
I was not.
Nope.
No, we did not exist at that time. Kyler, Jeremiah Rash wants to know, after the Dakota Bigs going down, on a scale of 1 to 10, how obnoxious will these Montana fans be on our page going forward?
Is it scale 100 or 10?
It's 10, but I guess you can go higher.
Because if it's 10, it's probably going to be a good 100. It's going to be wild. They don't think any other football team plays football outside the Dakotas and Montanas. So they're going to think Tarleton can't play football, which is ridiculous. It's going to get wild. You know what? Hey, they've been irrelevant for a long time, so might as well let them be a little wild outside of the brawl.
Yep, when you're still winning, and it's like you've earned that right to keep talking smack. Zach, Predict what the future looks like for Sac State, says Tim.
Sadness. Lots and lots of sadness. And Mercy, and Mercyhurst games and Valpo games and whoever else they can bribe to come play them in Sacramento. I mean, you want to talk about a fumble? And that is like 50 ways to ruin your college football program. They should write a book about it.
I know how much that they're paying Southern Utah to come play there next year. It hadn't been publicized, but they're paying some people to come play them next year. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I imagine the president on the Dave Ramsey show, and he's like, "You spent what on a football game? You need to go down to $1,000 and start getting rid of this debt." All right, Jamie, one of the last two questions here from Matt P. How about some quick love for former FCS JMU 2016 type of run in store? Coaching change going to affect things? How does Jamie feel about the new hire? Great hire in his opinion. And how happy is Jamie today with the Dukes getting in the FBS tourney, says Tim. So you've got some love here. The floor is yours, buddy. And if people don't like it, then there's only 4 minutes left of this podcast anyways.
That's right. They can click off. I'll start with a little troll because Friday night we weren't playing very well. I think we had about our D game on offense. Our receivers couldn't catch anything. They couldn't even catch a cold, even though it was freezing. Pretty bad, but we had Wayne Knight go all Newman on you at 212 yards. But everybody was kind of yapping in our chat, talking about NDSU would beat us by 14. Well, guess what? NDSU lost to Illinois State because they couldn't get a win, even though they had 5 interceptions. We're in the CFP, baby. NDSU ain't beat us by 14. So that's my little troll. But, I'm really excited. I know what stands in front of us. I'm going to sit here and say that we're going to go out to Eugene and App State, Michigan them, or JMU, Virginia Tech them. But it's awesome. You only get a chance to be at your first FBS championship game. Conference championship game once, and I made sure I was there. I was cold as all get out, but we play outside, so it was real football. It was a lot of fun. Maybe really nervous, didn't feel very good about it at all for most of the game. I thought we were going to let them back in, but our defense is elite at the FBS level. If you and you can just talk about, you didn't play anybody, you had 100 SOS and all that stuff, and that's all true. But look at Louisville's games. There's only one team that held them to fewer yards than we did. One. All year. We gave them 268. Like, what do you do with that? 3 times this year, our defense allowed less than 0 yards. And then App State allowed 1.
Well, Oregon's going to teach you guys how to count this week.
They are. I have no, like I said, I have no qualms, but
yeah.
If you'd have told me 4 years ago this was going to happen, I wouldn't believe you. It's been a great transition.
It's been pretty cool.
It's like 40-10. The most arrogant of us obviously thought that would happen because we do have some of those. Don't get me wrong. I think y'all all had seen it. We got some fans, that's for sure. But selling out the games, it's been so much fun. I'm pretty damn happy, pretty damn excited. I don't know that I'm going to make it to Eugene. It's damn expensive, and for a quick turnaround with no PTO left and all that stuff, I don't know if I can make it. But it is. Yeah, Rev, it's G5 Fans Nation for the last 4 minutes. You damn right. The question was asked, and I'm going to answer it. And side note, this is funny as hell. Watching the show today, they had Nick Saban on there talking, and my wife comes and asks me why the hell is, and she's not watching. She comes and is like, "Why is Billy Bob Thornton talking about college football?" They sound alike, dude. Turn your head when Nick Saban talks. Turn your head when Bill Bob Thornton talks. The same damn voice. It's pretty funny. That was my little sidebar, but yeah, I don't know. We don't have a run coming. I want to stay close. Let's be respectable. I think the spread's 21.5. I don't think we cover that. I'd love to say we're gonna. I'd be happy if we did. Obviously,
me too.
It's just the worst.
Beat the Ducks.
it's just, it's the worst location for us. It's hard to get to. It's expensive. I wish it would have been Ole Miss, but it is what it is. And
Jamie,
real excited.
Good teams win. Great teams cover. Always remember that.
Did that song.
Just don't be Liberty a couple years ago, and you got to win the season.
Like
yeah, you'll be okay.
45-6, something like that.
Kudos to your Dukes and great fan base. We wish they were still back here, but of course, what you're doing now is super impressive. And that brings us to the final one, gentlemen, and we will answer them even if they're not football related. Nicholas says, big Christmas breakfast or fancy Christmas dinner? Kyler, we'll go around the horn, but I got to start with you because, man, you talk about Kelsey's cooking. I'm intrigued by this answer.
0, because I'm going to be on the beach this year, taking a vacation, Christmas Eve, said, love you, family. We're not going to hang out with you. Kelsey and I are going to an all-inclusive resort with one of our other buddies. So it's going to be some margaritas in breakfast, some margaritas at lunch, some margaritas at dinner. And they have a steakhouse there, so I'll probably get a nice steak. But I don't even know what I'm going to eat because I have no clue what's there. All I know is margaritas will be flowing, so that's what my go-to.
Should be a good time for you. Zach McKinnell, what do you think? You going to take Christmas breakfast or Christmas dinner? What do you prefer?
We don't do either, so I've got to say neither as well. Yeah, so like we celebrate Christmas like over multiple days. Like we'll like go to one family on like the 23rd, another family on the 24th, 25th morning, just relaxing. We'll go get lunch at another family member's house, and then like Christmas night, I'm tired of people and I'm tired of family, so it's just like, yeah, let's just chill at the house and order some Chinese or eat some leftovers. Like let's just chill and get away from everybody. So I would say neither.
Okay. I was going to say that's called Hanukkah, Zach. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Jamie, what do you eat on Christmas?
Yeah, of course I do. I do like a good breakfast sometimes, but dinner. Yeah. The last couple of years we've done lasagna on Christmas, which has been solid. That was pretty good. Just something completely different. Prime rib dinner sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Made a couple good casseroles the last couple of years for breakfast. Definitely did
You're
not
from
make a hot dish.
You're from the Midwest.
I didn't make
and casseroles for Christmas. What is wrong?
That's outrageous.
Meat, baby. Meat, baby. Prime rib, a spiral ham, a brisket, whatever. But come on, brother.
He didn't say hot dish. He ain't from the Midwest.
You damn right about it.
What on earth?
He says duck, duck, blue duck, though.
I don't say that gray duck crap either.
We're for sure traditional, the Christmas dinner things, but one of my favorite Family Guy lines ever is Lois comes out on the Thanksgiving episode. She goes, time for dinner, everybody. It's 2:00. And for some reason on Thanksgiving, we eat at 2:00. And that's exactly who our family is. It's like 1:32 and you cook into that big turkey and everything else. So there you go. Well, everybody's holiday season, we hope it's going to kick off well here in the next week or two. And we hope you enjoyed joining the FCS Fans Nation podcast this week as we are rolling into the quarters to figure out the semis. It's going to be tough to beat Zach McKinnell, but between Samuel coming on next week, already booked, and then hopefully Sam Herder for a championship preview, we hope to give you guys quite the all-star lineup going into Nashville. Zach, we'd love to give you the floor to, obviously, if people in the FCS are not following you or watching your content, please promote the living hell out of it because it's incredible. The floor is yours, good sir.
Man, I appreciate y'all for inviting me, man. Love the show as always. And the Blue Bloods on all podcast streaming platforms and YouTube, myself, Timothy Rosario, and Coach Fred, and the website FCS Football Central on SI. And then obviously you can catch me with Sam and Craig on both of their shows as well during the week.
Yeah, the hardest working FCS person. I think it's hard to beat. We had Sam with that title I think, for a few years, but boy, the competition is fierce. That's insane.
Zach does all this stuff, and Matt comes up with a stupid taco bet on his drill weekend, and we all think we're equals to Zach.
Oh yeah, it's great. We have our niche, which is. Allison's like, do you like
the dumbest FCS podcast?
She's like, what's your role
at FCS Fans Nation?
She's like, what's your role on the podcast? I'm like, it's a good thing I learned how to video edit when I was in middle school because I tell you what, I'm not here for opinions at all.
You got the voice though. That's all that matters.
Yeah, the voice is down.
That's right.
The Shure mic really helps, and it always helps to spend a Sunday evening with you guys, which is incredible. And bracket challenge will come out this week. Survivor pool will get updated, and we're going to update the bracket for everybody and figure out after this weekend who is going on to the Final Four. Don't miss it. Grab a beer, a margarita if you're Kyler, and enjoy the games. And we will catch you guys to break down the semifinals next week. Boom.